The question I am posing today: does Nikola Tesla, the Tabernacle of Moses, and the wow signal have a unity factor? First of all, let me show you what the tabernacle was, because that is going to be the foundation of our speaking. This is the Tabernacle of Moses. And as we see here, this is the inside. This is the holy place. We've already seen the table of showbread. This is the outside of the tabernacle. And these are the coverings. So they're not showing the table of showbread in this one. They're just going right to the altar. Now this is an altar of incense here. As we can see, there's two griffins in the background. That are shown here on either side of the smoke. This altar is described, I believe, in one of the configurations here of the wow signal. I believe that the altar that it's referring to is right here, just to the right of the EQU, on the other side of the veil. The veil is the long column, and to the very right, which is going to be on the far left side of the screen, it's going to be 3613. To the right of that is the menorah, which is also in this holy place of the tabernacle. But this altar has on it 36. Now, the specs of this altar is 36 inches tall. The same as it was on the wow signal that we just saw. I'm jumping like right in the middle of my presentations because I've done so many already on this. But I will give you a little background. The menorah is to the right, as you can see the candlesticks as they are heading upward or north, or whichever way, up on the actual numeric code. And then to the bottom right is the table of showbread, which is interesting because there are 12 loaves, and the number 12 is on this. And they're stacked one on top of another, as it is portrayed in this configuration. And the 36 is right there on the far left of this altar. And then it's going to take us into there's the menorah right there to the right. There it is again. And so this is the picture to the far right in the wow signal. I might embed the okay, here's the table of showbread. Okay, so they're doing it kind of backwards. The table of showbread is right here. There again is the altar, and as we go into the Holy of Holies, you have to go through this veil, and some people say that you have to be transported, you have to be dematerialized to go into the altar area. And this is also interesting because I believe that these two wings are Nikola Tesla's airplane. And that I should probably pull that one up. And it was a patent that he got in 1927. This is the Beale Code that reveals frightening implications for our time. Or the frightening part was actually last year and this year that the term Earth, which is the 33rd number in the code, which is right, it's in the heart. That's the 33 right there. And that denotes that the whole Earth is covered with covered. And that is the year 2021. It's in this instability green strip. So this gentleman is going to talk about the aircraft, Tesla's aircraft, Nikola Tesla's aircraft. "8 feet square, propeller to be driven by a powerful turbine." And he was the first one to propose a turbine on a rotorcraft. It's important as a turbine and is essential for generating something. And this is what we're talking about here. Get these ugly mugs off the face. So I think the altar is referring to this piece of aircraft here. The two wings, the angel's two wings. And it's a tilt. So the implication is the Ark of the Covenant could be, and see that there's a wing on it, or propeller that has two wings, and that it had to be carried. So it wasn't something that, it did drive the, you could say the Ark of the Covenant did drive their wanderings. It didn't literally drive them, like they didn't get like inside of it, all pile inside and then, just trek off. But it was symbolic of, I think, the Enola Gay, which would take the atomic splitting and drop it to end Israel's diaspora. So they would have a renaissance. So 36 is on our WOW code. I believe this was what Tesla was picking up when he was here in Colorado Springs. So I think he was picking up the WOW signal. and it was showing that in 2021. Well, I mean, this was all future for him too, because this was 1899. So I think what happened was the tabernacle itself is a bit like a time capsule. So I think what he did was he puzzled out, let's say that we'll take the menorah, which is the symbol for light. And so I think he puzzled this out in the 1800s when he did the AC stepping back of the DC current. This was 2 Kings 20:10 when God asked him to turn the shadows forward or backward. So I think he puzzled this back as King Hezekiah and got 15 more years. It was 15 more years after Tesla did the airplane that he died in 43. So what I think the tabernacle envisions is a time capsule. The menorah on the far left is the 1800s, late 1800s. The wireless here in Colorado Springs that he did is going to be indicative of the wow signal that we eventually would get in 77. But I can see the wow signal like enveloping the whole inside of the tabernacle. In other words, when the menorah is puzzled out, and when this altar here is puzzled out, and then you have the specks of the of course, the table of showbread is in the far. I don't know if I showed that, but in the far right-hand corner, that's the table of showbread. I think I did earlier. But after he did the turning back of the sundial, he went behind the veil, which is probably Colorado Springs time frame, literally because of the place that Colorado Springs has in history being that I can speak because I'm like pretty much on top of where he was. It's like 8 blocks to the north. But we have here the altar, which is, or the Cheyenne Mountain, which is, I believe, is the supine altar of Christ's sacrifice. So the veil that Nicola splits is symbolic of the side of Christ that our Lord and God is showing him that during his sacrifice, Christ absorbed the atomic blast that Nikki and the tabernacle are picturing would happen shortly. So this is the veil that Nikki splits, would be the understanding of the monument. This is the face looking upwards, and the body goes down, and the hands cross in the middle. It's very macabre when you think about it. So this is the veil, and this is Colorado Springs, and this is the place where Nikki was. And then you have the altar inside the Holy of Holies. You have the Ark of the Covenant, which is 27 by 45. So I envision that 1927, when he made the patent, is indicative of, of the airplane, and then 45 is when, it's 27 by 45, the dimensions, and so it's actually not just in length, not just a numeric value, but it's a time value Of course, the lid comes off. Inside is the uranium that the Enola Gay would hold. So Tesla's airplane is indicative of the World War II airplane several years later, 16, 17 years later, 45, that destroyed parts of Japan. So the point is, I think, that the Tabernacle was fulfilled, and that Nikki was, or is, the high priest that came to America to subvert what the evil plutocrats, those that had a different Ark of the Covenant. So this was, I think he's the high priest of the godly Ark of the Covenant. And then we have here Edison and Einstein, the story of the dueling arcs, that Tesla was on one side and that Edison was on the other. So Edison came in 1884, and Edison had already done his light bulb and his other. So it says here, the discoverer and manipulator, I call him scum, of the cause of Genesis 3, the snake. So Edison's camera was typified in the Genesis as what crawls on the ground. In other words, the electromagnetic that is contained in a cord, that it's taking pictures of the fruit that God says don't touch. So he's not really touching it, he's taking a picture of it. So he's mincing words, he's mincing concepts. God says don't, stay away from this, and it's like the camera saying, well, I'm not really touching it, it's not really going to die, and I'm not really touching it. And there were pictures of the very thing, of the splitting of the atom, which God forbid. So you have the dueling arcs here, and you also have dueling constellations. Orion is the symbol of the evil radiation splitting, and then Shepherd Buddhas is what Nikola Tesla was, and that is to shepherd the planet and to use not just free but natural. So Edison and Einstein, Morgan, and Marconi were all on the unnatural and the camera, and Nikki was alone with Westinghouse between New York and Colorado here on natural. They preferred natural means. And Tesla's coil that he produced and reproduced here in Colorado Springs was picking up wireless. So I see in these dueling arcs that the WOW code is superimposed all inside of the holy place of the Tabernacle of Moses. It's like pictured on the walls once he started deciphering all of the elements of the tabernacle. And then, of course, on the very far left is kind of where we are today. The EQU is the equation, possibly. The 26th president was Teddy Roosevelt, which is 1901, that Nikki was busy producing his things in his administration. But it also forecasts 21, because 21 is the very, very last set of numbers on this whole WOW signal. And this is indicative of 2021, I think. And it stops. It just abruptly stops. So you have these long codes of numbers, and then Actually, 1322 is where Nikki was in Colorado Springs. It's right in between the Ark of the Covenant and the Veil. And so that's his address, which I lived for 2 years. But on the very far end is 21, and this is, I believe, 2021, if we can get a closer look. So there's the 2 and there's the 1. And it abruptly stops. So there's an incredible revelation coming. Thomas Jefferson Beale says the earth is covered last year and this year. So we also have this interesting prophecy that happened in probably 2000, and it says, he is partaker of future great tribulation, the Aleph and the Tau. Well, that's God Almighty. So, apocalypsis, so writing person denotes visible person concerning him from and into all eternity, things which quickly, speedily, and shortly must come to pass. This is out of Revelation. To show a clear record to the angels and to the churches, you have one on the left and one on the right. So it sounds like a white throne judgment, the children being killed right now through these deadly shots. So let the Bible be its own interpreter. And then the earth will not see him until later, surrounding Jerusalem. I wrote this in 2002. I had just gotten back from Israel, and I went again in 2018. So it could be what happened with Trump, which is his uncle's the one that took Tesla's papers. This is the instability strip that is talking about Thomas Jefferson Beale from 1819 to 2019, 200-year fulfillment. And there's just a terrible web in there. I know Jeffrey Epstein's at the center of it. I think he's at the center of everything that's happening right now. He is still alive.